Hi, welcome to the Gamesplainer. I'm Jeff the Gamesplainer, and today I'm gamesplaining Curators. So this is the game of Curators set up as a 2-player game. The only things that are different with the 3 or 4-player game is the number of these tiles that are set out at the beginning of the game. So on a 2-player game, there are 17 set up there. On a 3-player, there's 21. On a 4-player, there's 26. There are markings on the ones that I've removed that say, use these just for a 3 or more player game, use these for a 4-player game. Other than that, the game plays identically with all player counts. So, what is this game? How does it play? The idea of the game is that you have your own museum and you're going to build that museum up. In order for you to get money in, you need visitors. You need to build up your museum, which will be adding markers to there or there. You'll need to purchase those rooms that come into your museum. You will need to purchase or find the pieces of art and historical stuff to go into your museum also. So let's get into it and see what this game actually does. The way it plays is you have these 5 markers. Notice the side that they're facing up is the one with the gear marking around it. You're going to use one of those 5 actions and then flip the marker over. So if, for example, I use this action, I would flip that marker over. You'll now notice that there are 2 of this symbol. That means that if I wish to do that action, I actually have to do it twice. I have to do a double action. I cannot choose to do just one of these 2. They would both flip over at the same time. And what suddenly happened is I have a double action here and they would both flip at the same time. There's a double action here. They would both flip at the same time. Double action here. They would both flip at the same time. Then double action there. You can see how this game runs. After your first turn, there's pretty much always going to be a single double action available to you. Unless you don't go after the double action, and then that's going to change the numbers, obviously. But after the first turn, there's very much a push or a drive for you to use each of the single actions and kind of keep that order going. As I say, you don't have to. Nothing in the game tells you have to do that, but it makes sense to do that if you are able to. Sometimes you won't be able to do the double action because you won't actually have the ability to be able to use both of the actions. If you can't use both of them, you cannot do that action at all. So let's run through what each of the actions actually do. There is a little card that helps you out with this, by the way. So I will run in order of that card. So if you have the game, you can actually look at that card and know what I'm talking about. But if you don't have the game, that's also fine. The card kind of does explain a little bit, but not everything. The first action I'm going to deal with is the hat action. That's also known as the archaeologist. It looks like Indiana Jones's hat. I think for copyright reasons, you're not allowed to say that that's Indiana Jones's hat, but let's be honest. Moving on. What you're going to do when you use the archaeologist is you're going to take one of the items, and there are 3 different colored items. So one of the items of any color, let's say he takes the red item, and you'll put that in your own storage. The storage area of your museum is just here. You'll then also take one of the same colored items and put it over in the auction house. If you happen to have the double action of the archaeologist, that allows you to take objects of 2 different colors, which means he might take a blue as well, and that would put a blue over into there. Okay, the next one that I'm going to deal with is the Carpenter. What the Carpenter does is he expands your museum with available wings. The available wings are up here. So the first one, you'll notice if you look really closely, this is actually a spiral going to the middle. The very first one is free. The next one down would cost 1,000 money, 2,000 money, 3,000 money, 4,000 money. It keeps going around, getting 1,000 money more expensive as you go around that spiral. So let's say, for example, he decides to take that, which costs him no money. He would need to add that to the museum. He can add that there, or there, or there, or there. So the entrance to your museum is those 2 doors. You need to connect one of the doors to that space. It's up to you which way you go with that. How would you choose which directions to go? I'm glad you asked. You would look at these cards. These cards are going to give you points at the end of the game if you have managed to get the appropriate colored rooms in the appropriate spaces. So he is currently looking for 2 red rooms here, but a black and a black next to it. So he couldn't actually get that one with those 2 red rooms. And this one isn't looking for any red rooms, except that if you look really closely, that star, that means any color. So theoretically, one of those rooms he's just put in could be that room. These are closed off cards, but I'll leave them face up just so you can see what he's working towards at all points through the game. With those cards, by the way, if you have a room that actually appears in both of the cards' different locations, that's absolutely fine. There's nothing that needs to be separated. You just need to get rooms into these particular patterns. If he had 2 of that symbol, he would have to purchase an extra room as well. And what he might do is go, I actually want that one, which would cost 0, 1, 2. $2,000 for that one, and he would spend the $2,000 and he can place it in, but where he's actually going to place it is there. Notice that they are double-sided. The reason he would go there is so that he can be building towards this particular thing. So he needs a black room in there and a blue room there, and then he suddenly has that one. That then moves up, so this is the free room. That will now cost 1,000. Moving on to the collection manager. The way that this style works is you are purchasing from the auction house. So if he wished to purchase, say, 1 red, he'd be purchasing this 1 red. That 1 red would cost him $1,000. If he wished to also purchase this one, it would cost him another $2,000. So by purchasing that one for $1,000, or he could purchase that as well for $3,000 if he had enough money. He doesn't have any more money at the moment, but that's okay. We'll fix that soon. If that was a double, he would have to purchase 2 different colored markers. So he might also purchase that blue for another $1,000. Notice there are only 6 spaces here. So once you've got 6 things in there, you cannot get any more in there. So just be very aware of that. So how do we get things out of there? That is where the restorer comes in. The restorer will move all items, if you wish, 1 or more item of 1 color from your storage into your museum. So let's say that restorer is working on red, you might move that straight into your museum. If you had 2 of the restorer tokens turned up, you would have to move 2 different colors. So he would also need to move that 1 blue. Notice how the blue has nowhere to go at the moment, so it has to stay in that spot. For each wing that you manage to complete during that action, so this is a wing, which he has completed, would add a visitor token to your path. Notice, adding this visitor covers up these 2 markers, which tells me to take 2 more cards, one of each color. And it gives me a couple of other patterns on the rooms that I am trying to complete. Don't stress if these aren't making sense. As you build more, you just work on one, or if you can see a pattern that will enable you to get a few of them, then you work on that pattern. But don't stress about it. I know that this can become a little bit of a geometric hassle. Don't expect to be able to gain all of the cards, because you will, assuming you get visitors, end up with 6 cards eventually. And the final guy that we have is the finance manager, the finance guy. And the way he works is he will give you $1,000 for each visitor on your visitor track. So we currently have 2 visitors that will get $2,000. If you had 2 of them showing, you would get $4,000. And that is just money straight into your vault. That's where you're going to be able to spend money for future purchases from. The game continues in that fashion until the last one of these wings has been purchased. Whoever purchases the last one gets one of these markers and then flips the token over. If that last wing was purchased with the first of a double action, double builder action, which is this one, the player would get $1,000 as well as that piece. That player then finishes their turn. We finish the round. Then every player will get 2 more turns to finish everything up as best they can. Then We come down to the points. For every $4,000 you have, or 4,000 money you have, you get 1 point. For every completed contract, that is one of these cards with all the rooms in the right order, and your card can go up any way that you like. It just can't be reversed. Be very aware of that. You will get the points on the top right hand of the card. For every completed wing, that is a wing that is full of goods, you will get the points on the wing. So this one's worth 3, this one's worth 1. Notice the small ones aren't worth anything, they just fill up some space. Then you get another point for each object that you've got displayed on the wing. This one is not worth anything. And the player with the most victory points at the end of all that is the winner of the game. Please go ahead and watch my gameplay to get a feel for how Curators actually plays. I hope this helps you get Curators to the table. If you have any comments or suggestions, please write them below. If you have any games that you would like to be Gamesplained, please shoot me an email to thegamesplainer@gmail.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter @thegamesplainer to keep up to date with the games I'm playing. Subscribe to my videos to keep up to date with the games that I'm gamesplaining. And until next time, enjoy gaming.